Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Arian, and today in this video we're going to talk about some methods and techniques of urban design. In this video, first of all, you're going to learn about the sketches. What type of sketches do we have in urban design? And we are going to learn how to draw a beautiful sketch just with a simple black pencil. We will also learn about side plans, sections, diagram and ideograms, and elements as well. So without any waste of time, let's start the video. Alright, welcome back. First of all, it should be mentioned we have a lots of drawing styles. For example, we have line drawing, thumbnail sketches, a style like cross-hatching, and perspective drawing. But today in this video, we're going to only talk about the most common styles that we use in urban design. For example, in the picture at top left, we can see a thumbnail sketch. What is special about this sketch is that they are used mostly for showing activities. For example, in this sketch, we can see that people have been colored with yellow. This will put emphasis on them and their activities. Or on the top right, we can see another different type of sketch. We mostly use this kind of sketch to analyze the land that we are working on. And it should be mentioned that they are mostly in 2D. But whoever created this map tried to be creative and made it 3D. Another example that we have is at down left. This is called a perspective sketch. On this type of sketch, we mostly use colors, but we also have black and white sketches that are just done with a simple black pencil. I will show them some examples of them in the next pages. And for the last but not least, on the down right, we can see a perspective that has been done with new technologies like iPads. This type of sketches that has recently been popular uses digital skills to create this type of sketch. So what we have to do is first to take a picture of the place that we're going to design and then try to put our drawing on the picture. Now I should mention that I'm not creator of any of this type of sketches and I gathered these examples a long time ago. So if you have created any of these pictures, please say in the comments so I could mention you in the description. Here we can see two astonishing perspective sketch that has been done by Francis Tibbles. I recommend you all to try to start practicing by copying his sketches. First of all you have to do is to just Google Francis Tibbles. You can see a lot of sketches of him available on the internet. Composition and proportion are two important factors in his perspectives. Here is an example of what I have done before, and I recommend you all to do. To start learning to sketch, you first need to copy sketches that are available on the internet. You could start by Francis Tibbles' sketches, as I mentioned before, because they are very astonishing. They give you a lot of technique. So let's look at the drawing that we have at top left. As you can see in here, Tibbles tried to create a beautiful proportion by putting that tower on the middle of this page. And he has emphasized on it by making it pure black. So obviously one of the first things that you will learn in your sketches is teriyaki. You will start learning that using colors, even if they are pure black, will create a distraction for your audience, as we mentioned before on thumbnail sketches. And little by little, you will start learning about composition. As we can see on this picture, Tibbles tried to put his emphasis on people and their activity on the down streets and still keep his page filled with buildings on the top side of this paper. So basically, as an audience, you will first look at the crowd on the bottom of the street and then your eyes starts rolling up to the building on the top of this paper, which has been bolded on this paper by the color technique that I mentioned before. You can see the glasses are pure black. If you're a beginner, I will strongly suggest you to start using a parchment paper. So basically what you should do first is to print some of the sketches that you found on the internet and then put a parchment paper on it and start drawing. This will make your hand and brain familiar with through a sketch. And after you try to copy some of these sketches, please feel free to start do a sketch in freehand style. Of course, it wouldn't be as the one that you copied on parchment paper, but don't be shy at all. This is what a perspective of beginner look like. But little by little, you're going to get used to it and start to create true artworks. Alright, now about the three next part, we're going to talk about side plans, sections, and ideograms. But I'm gonna be honest with you. In real world, people won't use their hand for drawing these types of information, because nowadays they are mostly done by softwares, but I will suggest you to draw them first with your hands. The point of doing this is, first of all, your hand is going to get used to drawing. You wouldn't hesitate anymore on drawing lines. And second, you are going to learn every detail about how to do a side plan, section, and diagram. Of course, on the other videos, I'm going to teach you about how to do these types of pictures with softwares. Well, for now, please try to draw them with your hand. Here we can see a site plan that I have done when I was a student. What you need to do first is to try to find some site plans from valid websites. And then again, like the way that you done the sketches, you must try to copy them on the paper. Of course, there are some points that you need to pay a very close attention to them. For example, the shadows. Shadows must be done at the end of your work. If you try to draw them at first, then the colors that you will use on your map will ruin your shadows. And the second thing that really matters in drawing side plans is the colors. You must really put your focus on the colors, because it will give your audience a lot of information. For example, the color of your water pools, ponds, or swimming pools will show the depths of the water. Of course, the depths of water is going to be much more complicated in site plans that are placed near of the bay. On those types of site plans, you're going to see the color of water gets darker when the depths increases. Sometimes it's even custom to put a sky reflection on the water. So what you need to do first is to draw baselines of your maps by a pencil and then hold them up by a technical pen. It is recommended to use technical pen with different variety of nib sizes, because you need at least 2 line weights in your drawings. By this technique, you can build what should be built in your site plan. And also, because you're using a technical pen, the colors that you are going to add wouldn't mess up with your lines. For choosing your colors, you are free to use any tools that you're comfortable with, but it is recommended to use marker. And if you need a color that you don't have, please feel free to combine your colors together. In here, we have another work of mine when I was a student. Again, try to find some really good example of sections on internet and try to copy them with your hand. I will teach you how to do all of this with softwares like every other companies, but for now, try to copy them on paper. And now for sections in urban design or even urban planning, we have a different variety of sections, like longitudinal sections, transverse sections, street sections, and etc. For example, in here we have a longitudinal section that analyzes a building. So again, it is better to draw them on paper first, so you could learn every detail and techniques of a section. This is another drawing of mine which shows people's activity and their interaction with climate. In every section we have 3 layers: foreground, background, and the one in the middle. All of these are only shown by the color. The farther the objects are, the darker they become. Please note that the lines of cutted objects and the line of ground must be bold. So when you're using a technical pen, draw these lines thicker. To show depths in section, trees are mostly used. Sometimes we can see people being used in second or third layer, but the trees are the main element to show depths. And the reason of it is because of the colors. As I mentioned before, to show depths, the objects gets darker and darker in second and third layer. Now about the diagrams, we have a large variety of diagrams too. For example, we have bubble diagram, conceptual diagram, sketches, structure diagrams, and many more. You could just Google it to be familiar with every type of diagram. But the common diagrams that we have in urban design are included of conceptual diagrams, context diagrams, and activity diagrams. But please feel free to search on the internet about the diagrams, so you could actually see every type of these diagrams. But what we have here is called a conceptual diagram. What we basically are seeing in here are sequences of a concept or idea that has turned into a final idea. This type of diagrams give your audience a clear idea of how you manage to design your ideas. And last but not least, we have the elements like sun, arrows, trees, or personage. These elements are mostly used in land analysis, but we could sometimes use them in different works like the section that I showed you before. In videos that I will make in future, I will teach you how to use every one of these elements in your designs. But for now, take a good look at every one of them to have an understanding of what you're dealing with. Okay, we have reached to the end of this video. If you like this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you have any suggestion or any knowledge that you need to learn about urban design, please say it in the comments. Thank you for watching this video. Have a good day.